Dang, what was I going to say? Oh, so on Twitter, I made this post. It said, let me just read it because I don't remember. It was deep though. And I did it last night.
It was deep?
It was super deep. It was super deep. The quote says, hold on. The more money you make, the more money you'll have the potential to make. There's money out here that you can't make because you don't already have some.
Do that one more time. One more time. It went over some heads.
Yep. The more money you make, the more money you'll have the potential to make. And there's some money out here that you can't make because you don't already have some. Now, on one side, let's talk about, what's it called? Accredited investors. So there's some investments that you can't make if you're not an accredited investor, meaning you have to have either like $250,000 or $1 million net worth or something like that, and it changes with groups. That's one thing. That's the obvious. If you're not an accredited investor, you legally can't invest in certain things if you don't have money. The second part is the more you build, the easier it is to connect with other people who are building stuff.
Yes.
So think about it this way. If I make $100,000 a year, it's easy for me to connect with somebody who makes $100,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
If you make $30,000 a year, it's hard for someone that's homeless to connect with you. Y'all not going to be in the same spaces. You can't do the same things. Wherever you are in your, like, whatever level you are on, in terms of business, entrepreneurship, or whatever, your core group of people are probably not too far ahead or below you. It just is what it is. Now, in these environments of people who are building stuff, and this is to the point that you were saying, I'm building my t-shirt brand. Donnie's building her network marketing company. At this point, she's making more money than me, but not much more. So I'm doing my thing. I'm still a six-figure entrepreneur. She's a six-figure entrepreneur. It's easy for us to connect because I have some strengths in the thing that I built. She has some strength in the things that she built. And we can come together because we're matching each other's level, if that makes sense. There are some people that won't be able to do business with Donnie simply because they haven't made any money. It just is what it is. So I think our goal, not the goal for making money for money's sake, right, but it allows you to get in different environments. And in these different environments, there's all kind. I like the joint with Mike, and I'm talking to Five and Neo, and we all are invested in this thing, and the returns are insane. But you have to have a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
And not only have a certain amount of money to invest in it, you have to have a certain amount of money to even be connected to somebody who would let you into this particular investment. Yes. So it is important. It is important, vital, that you all do everything that you can to get to that next level, because you're not going to be able to make some money because you don't have any.
Tell people who Dan Cathy is.
Yeah, so Dan Cathy is the CEO, well, the ex-CEO of Chick-fil-A, but he's also Truett Cathy's son, the person who built Chick-fil-A. Pass it down to his son, Dan Cathy. And Dan Cathy has been running Chick-fil-A for the last, 14 years or something like that. And he just passed it down to his son, Andrew, which is, it's just phenomenal. The fact that, and check this out, his dad built it till I think about 2009, I want to say. And then Dan Cathy becomes vice president or something like that. And from the time Dan comes on to the time that he becomes CEO, it went from 1.3 billion or something like that to like 3.5 billion. Grew the company.
Okay.
He becomes the CEO. 10 years later, it's built to 14 billion. Meaning somebody who has a vision can pass down to their son the ability to like grow something. But what's cool is he just passed it to his son. And we'll see what his son does with it as well. But that's That's way bigger than passing down generational wealth. You have to pass down generational skill sets, generational leadership,
generational mindset.
Come on.
Mindset. So what was interesting to me, just as soon as he sat down, there were a lot of amazing guests, but you have a unique way of asking the right questions. So even though the interview was only 35 minutes, you skipped past all the fluff and you went straight into the things that you knew that audience could connect with. And sitting in the audience, I was completely tapped in and connected. Almost as soon as he got on stage, he made it clear that Chick-fil-A is merely a small family business.
It's just a family business.
Just a family business. And in that moment, I was like, wow, look at how big this family business has grown. And the majority of his conversation was about building a family business and how you structure it for generations. What's the percentage of family businesses that actually make it to the second generation?
I don't know. There's something really small.
22% or something that make it. So and we'll go back and listen to the recording and correct me if I'm wrong, but it was like he said maybe 22% of family-owned businesses actually successfully survive the second generation. So if you are building a family-owned business and your plan is to transition that company down to your child or a niece or nephew, someone in the next generation, there is a 78% chance that your business will fail there, right?
Crazy.
And I thought, it just starts to put things in perspective. Number one, I'm building a family business, something that I'd like to be a family business, and you think my family business could never be as big. Oh, I'm just going to keep it a family business. Yeah. It won't ever reach the scale of a Chick-fil-A. And then you have Dan Cathy get on stage and say, oh, we're just a family-owned business.
Yes, when you get in the room, you got to execute. So I know the story, not the whole story, but I know a portion of the story which is going to inspire somebody. Beasley, you know how he connected with Jeremy? Try it. Tell me. Still drinking?
I said,
all right, cool. So he was going through the neighborhood and he was putting flyers in the mailbox. He was going to put flyers in the mailbox. That's how I know he ain't had no money like that. Because he's walking, it's hot. He's walking through the neighborhood putting flyers in the mailbox. It's not even like I'm knocking on the door. I'm walking through the neighborhood putting flyers in the mailbox. He can't do that now because he's always busy, he's cooking, things of that nature. But before that, I would imagine that he spent hours and hours and hours and hours and hours perfecting the craft. Perfecting the craft. I'm talking about he's operating at a high level, but he just hasn't found the door to the room yet.
Yeah.
So he's operating at a high level. He's really good at what he does. He has a passion for cooking. That's how sometimes he'll come to breakfast and say, yo, I just tried this new dish, man. I just want y'all to try it.
Yeah.
He's just passionate. You talk to him about food, passionate about it. So he's walking through the neighborhood, putting flyers. It had to be like spring, summertime. I just remember it being hot.
I remember the story now.
And he ain't no little boy. You know what I mean? So I just had this picture in my head of him
dripping sweat. Dripping sweat.
That's the vision that I have in my head. That's why I was so impressed by the story. So I think Jeremy either reads the card or sees him doing it or whatever. And long story short, he's catering this particular lunch. We get to the lunch and the food is amazing.
Amazing.
Now, at this point, he may not, because we got Donnie, we got Trap there, Support Black Colleges, they 8-figure business. It's just, it's a high level group. He doesn't qualify to sit at the table, but his gift allowed him to add value to be in the room. So he's here now. And what he did was he operated at a high level. Food was amazing. Food was flawless. And I think everybody at the table booked him.
Everybody at the table eventually booked him.
So check this out. Doesn't qualify to be at the table, but when he got in the room, executed high level, flawlessly. So you might have somebody that does videography, right? And you see a person, let's say they're starting their podcast. Everybody's starting their podcast. You have something to say?
Ryant is an example of the video. Ryant will come to your event And at first it was just Ryan, and he was still doing this. He has a team now, but
working
at first,
like it's 3 of them.
Ryan was coming in to your event for free. He did an event for me for free. He's working like he has a team of 3 or 4 people covering this event doing videography. Before you can even leave the stage, Ryan delivered a recap video of your entire event, like recap images, you arriving, you on stage, testimonials that he's managed to pull together. You have a whole professionally done, like 2-minute recap video. And so he became known for being that guy, like, man, because people want, one of the most deflating things after an experience is not having any content tangible. Like, you're excited about your event, and it takes videographers a week or 2 weeks to send you something. By that time, you're on to your next thing.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan stood out because he made sure you had a deliverable in your hand, literally. Hey, Donnie, pull up your phone. I'm about to Bluetooth you. And not only that, so good that he has the production screen and he's showing it to everybody. So now everybody wants that videographer that executes at that level. Like, dude, gonna have your images and your videos same night.
But before he got in the room, you don't just start executing like that. You don't just get in a room and start executing like that. It had to be hours and hours and hours and hours of preparing to be there and executing at a high level. So back to Beasley, he doesn't qualify to be at the table, but when he got an opportunity to be in a room, he just worked his way into the room, everything changed for him. Everything changed for him. So for us, I think it's not about getting an opportunity. It's about working on your craft to where you can execute at a really, 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 really high level.
Mm-hmm.
So you might find somebody, here's the formula to getting in the room at least. You have to do something well and find somebody that's doing something awesome that you can compliment. Most people, when they don't do a good job, they come up with a good excuse on why they didn't do a good job. Never own it. Ever. Y'all know people like that? Like, don't tell me, all right, I had a situation where this guy, me and Joe, so this guy hung a TV on the wall, right? At our new studio. And he had to move it from one place on the wall to another place on the wall. So when I get there, the TV, it makes the sounds like, and I look behind it, and the TV is like, the nail is coming out the wall. It's like falling off the wall. So I'm like, yo, my man, why is this? What's up? Call the dude. So Joe calls him, and he calls him on speakerphone. He said, hey, what's up, man? He's like, yo, one of the TVs is like falling out the wall. And he says, which one? He tells him which one. And he said, the one we had to move? He said, yeah. He said, yeah, see, we had to move it. The first place was good, but because we had to move the second one, but I'll come by it. I'm like, what? Why is your default something putting the pressure off of you as if it's my fault that we had to move it, but you're the one that moved it and put it in the wrong place? You didn't find the stud. But if you really, I just want y'all to really, really start to think about how you interact with your customers. Most of you use excuses on a regular basis in terms of business. There's always a reason why you can't get something done. Why you ain't make no sales. Oh, well, I have my job and I have my kids. And there's always a reason. There's always a reason. Say no more excuses.
No more excuses.
Say no more excuses. That episode of Naveen Jain talking about obsession changed my life. You have any thoughts on obsession? Being obsessed not only for success, but being obsessed about improvement.
Yeah. I think obsession is healthy. I think the way most people understand it, because we see movies about being obsessed and it's dangerous and traumatic, I think the way most people understand it is a misinterpretation. But I believe that, especially whatever you are intentional about doing, like whatever your goals are, I believe that you have to be obsessed with it. And obsessed meaning whatever it takes, however long it takes, whatever I have to do to make this happen, I am going to do it. And I'm singularly focused on getting it done. Like, you can't distract me. You can't deter me. No matter what you say to me, No matter how you attempt to throw me off, no matter how many obstacles come my way, I'm getting this done, right? So I've had goals before, and I've communicated those goals to people, and they're like, "Ooh, I don't know about that." But I'm still going. I'm still like, nah, I'm pretty sure this is going to happen. And then they'll follow up and they'll say, is it done yet? Nope. Yeah, you probably need to change course. Like, I hear what you're saying, but I don't receive it. I am going to get this done. I'm going to get that situation, that job, that contract, that relationship, whatever it is, I'm going to get this done. And it wasn't until I became really obsessed with my goals that I started not just hitting them, but like busting through them.
It's only like 2 or 3 things that will drastically change your business. Yeah. I've experienced it myself. I'm like building my brand and looking to go to a whole nother level. I know it's not 10 things that's going to take me to another level.
Yeah.
It's my job to find the 1, 2, 3 things that I can tweak that turns everything up. And that's why we join masterminds, right? Yes. Because you get in the room and you hear something. Oh, that's one of them. It's not a million things. Sometimes it's just a verbiage on your website. Sometimes you can't see that the way you're posting, it entertains you and your friends, but from a client standpoint, this doesn't make me want to buy.
Right.
We could change our social strategy up a little bit. Sometimes it's our appearance. Last thing on that. I had a conversation with Pushman Mitch, and so Neo's trying to convince me to get a Lambo. And Mitch, he was saying that, I'm in this Lamborghini group, and we get together, I think it's once a year, twice a year, something like that. And he said, just being in the group, I've made way more money. He said, I made millions by getting this Lambo. So Lambo's what, 300,000, 200,000, something like that. The connections, the other people who can afford a Lamborghini that are in these groups, high-level entrepreneurs. That is a door that I've not gotten into yet because I don't have a Lamborghini. So he said, it was, I met one of the guys, changed my life. He said, took my business to a whole nother level because he decided to get a Lambo that put him in a room, that connected him with somebody, and he gave one piece of game, one connection, one person that can usher you somewhere, one person that's really successful that takes a liking to you, can change your life forever.
You know what prevents? I think what prevents obsession is one, excuses, but 2, complaining. If you are complaining about your situation or anything in it, that's a clear indication that you're not obsessed with the solution. Because we spend so much time complaining. I am very careful not to complain about anything. This is one of the things, like, even one of the members on my team, like, she'll like talk to me about what's going on in the business and how the systems didn't work or how the people didn't work or whatever. And I'm like, that's a red flag to me. Complaining about anything. Because if you're spending time complaining, you can't be solving it. Y'all know any complainers in your life? But I want you to pay attention to the amount of time that you spend complaining.
I have a question.
Talk to me.
So what's the difference between complaining and just stating the reality of what's actually happening?
Well, sometimes stating the reality of what's actually happening, if it's not for the purpose of finding out how to fix the reality, it's complaining.
Did y'all catch that? So just putting out what the problem is without the intent of finding a solution for it, that's the difference. So we can state what the actual problem is, like, hey, these systems aren't working. We need to set up a meeting with such and such team to figure out where we're dropping the ball. Or, those systems she set up ain't working, right? There's a difference. So when you are analyzing your own business or other people and giving them feedback, are you giving that feedback in the form of actual factuals of what's happening? with some type of helpful feedback attached to it? Or are you just looking to tear something down without any type of constructive feedback and you're just complaining? Complaining is like gossiping.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it really is easy to complain because people will always listen. I want you to really catch it. People will always listen. Here's what's cool about me and Donnie's relationship. I can't sit there and complain without some solutions. Her mind automatically goes to solution. Now every now and again we will have a heart-to-heart situation about personal things, right? So maybe Donnie's going through something. But even with that, it's not just let's just talk about it for the sake of talking about it and getting up and say, "Ooh, all right, cool. That was a good meeting, Donnie. Got some stuff off my chest." There has to be some sort of end result to the issue. So there could be, we have an issue getting people to download the app. Even though the directions, let's say, are clear in the email. I'm just saying, just an example. One thing is to say, yo, man, it's clear in the email. I can't believe everybody ain't doing it. They ain't reading. What we're going to, my mind automatically goes to, let's look at the copy. Let's look at the text. Maybe it's not clear how we're putting it. You have to own every single issue. Everything that goes wrong in your life is your fault. Y'all understand that? Everything that goes wrong in your fault, everything that goes wrong in your life is your fault.
I worked at the Cheesecake Factory and I drove kind of like an older Toyota Avalon, right? And what I realized is when I pull up with the shirts in my trunk in this Avalon, and sometimes I have my Cheesecake Factory clothes on because I'm just dropping off a shirt after work. It seems like everybody wanted to do a deal with me. And this is when it changed. I'm giving a guy, I'm dropping off some shirts to a guy that somebody knew. I knew somebody and I think they referred me or whatever. And the shirts are $25. Mm-hmm. And he said, let me get one for 15. He's like, he said, yo, let me get them for 15 and I'll buy 4 of them. So I give you $60 for 4 of them. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I could do that. He said, come on, bro. He said, how much you make it work today? I said, I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? He's like, yo, bro, it probably take you a whole shift to make this money that I'm gonna give you right now. It's just quick money. He started, based on my appearance, he's comparing how much he should give me based on what he thinks I'm making already. If somebody, that's why sometimes when you're like going to a whole nother level, and Joe, you should aspire to continue to improve this look because you'll be around more people. And I didn't really think of it before, but the way that you look and your appearance and sometimes the car that you drive says a lot about you before you even step out of the car. Before you step out of the car, it says a whole lot about you. How much money I should be paying you, because nobody wants to pay somebody money who doesn't have any.
Yeah.
You don't go, like, if somebody is, like, Donnie probably doesn't get a whole lot of people saying, all right, well, I know it's 10,000, but can I get on a payment? We don't even approach. Some people don't even call you because they think it costs too much.
I get DMs literally every day of people who say, you're on my vision board, or I can't wait to work with you. I just know it's so expensive. I look expensive. That's just whether I'm in a hoodie and a baseball cap or dressed like this, my posture is expensive, right? And it's on purpose. It's on purpose. It doesn't matter how much I spent on the clothes, on the garment. I don't buy only designer clothes. I shop for what I like. It doesn't matter. It could be from Target, but I'm going to make that thing look expensive, right? I might add a nice luxury brand shoe or a handbag or something. It's just the way that I carry myself all the time. You're not going to catch me too many times without my hair done. You're not going to catch me without my nails done. I have a standard for myself all the time. All the time. I noticed Blessing, she's one of the most memorable people who come into this room because she has a standard. for herself. She only wears the color green. She's always dressed to the T. I don't know where she's going after this, right? Because your girl is always done up, top to bottom, but I don't know what she does and how much money she makes from it, but she looks expensive, right? So you want to gravitate to people like that. I had to tell David last year early on,
Well,
like,
what's up with
Dave,
you?
let's really get it together. You're coming, you're wrinkled, you don't have on lotion, your
Oh my
socks are doing
gosh!
whatever your
Nobody can
socks
see
do.
the lotion on the camera.
I had to coach him to become better in his appearance, and then he went and made all this money because
you coached me into being a better me.
yeah, I coached him into being a bit like, Dave, come on, like we can't just put the watch on and think that the watch with the everything else is going to do it. Let's do better. Dave, did you iron this morning? Did you?
Are you done?
I'm just saying.
She's
what
making
has
stuff
to happen?
up. You were doing so good.
Anyway, appearance is a presentation, especially in the space that we live in right now. Your presentation is your preview, right? It's your movie preview. What do they call it? It's your movie trailer. Because there's so many of us right now. Notice that most of your circles, probably all of you right now, because you're doing some, are entrepreneurs or aspiring up and coming entrepreneurs. So there's so many of us in this space. How does your trailer position you for people to actually sit down and want to talk about your movie?
Yep. I told Donnie that like she got to hurry up and get her camera stuff together. Because we know like this Brain Picker podcast situation, if we are going to charge people, yes, we got good information, but my camera needs to be upgraded. Her camera needs to be upgraded. So when they come on, there is a stark difference between the coach and the mentee.
That's so strong.
So listen, my boy Marsh, I'm not going to tell you how much I paid for the graphics and the logo. It was more than I've ever even thought about paying somebody for graphics and logos. But it did what it was supposed to do. And he got us looking crazy. He got us looking amazing. Actually, the money I paid him, now that I see it, was cheap. It was cheap. I'm not even looking for I don't want a $100 logo anymore. He charges thousands. But he understands that, like, the way he puts the presentation together, the package, all that stuff. People will know not to play with you. So that situation happened to me. And I said, oh, you're basing what you should pay me off of what you think I have in my pocket. Meaning, if I have more, you'll feel obligated to pay me more. Now I have to correct my presentation. So.
And you guys, that doesn't mean like just super name brand stuff. It doesn't. No. You can dress very nicely at a bargain. It's just about how you put things together, how you sit in your clothes, how you walk. If I have on red bottoms right now, but if the back of my foot was hanging out on the heel of my shoe while I'm sitting, I don't look as presentable, right? It's about your posture and what you're wearing.
As it may not apply to you, but I have a very specific niche or avatar. It's for the person that is going towards something. The person that is going towards something. It's easier to fall into woe is me and I can't believe this is happening to me than it is to own it. So my philosophy, me personally, negative things that happen to me, my fault. Positive things that happen to me, I've been blessed. Negative things that happen to me, there's some things that I haven't grown to learn, especially in business. Like I talk mostly in terms of business or entrepreneurial terms. There's always something I can do better. Someone steals from me. Now, the person stole, right? But the reason I got stolen from is because I didn't have a system in place. But some people will be so mad at the person, saying, oh my gosh, I can't trust people now. Well, it's not about people you can't trust, but I need to put a fence around people so that I can manage the expectations. But on the other side, all good things that happen to me, I truly, truly believe it's not because of my talent or my ability. Like, we're reading this book. What's the book we're reading? If you don't know the book, that means you're not in the morning meetup.
Real quick, who wasn't in the morning meetup this morning that joined today? Show of hands. Raise your hands. Raise your hands. Raise your hands.
Hey, welcome. Give some love, family.
Yes.
Yo, so this is what I got from the last 2 chapters that we read, y'all. That success is made up primarily of time and luck. Time and luck. So this past the chapter we read this morning about Warren Buffett, my man, he made like, what's he worth, 84 billion at the time he was writing it. But he said like 80 billion of that or 81 billion of that came after he was 50. But he's been investing since a child, meaning he's been doing this for 75 years. A quarter of a century he's been an investor. They were saying this other guy, what was his name? What was the other guy's name? It was a hard name to remember. But he's gotten way better returns than Warren Buffett. And if he would have started where Warren Buffett started, he'd have been worth a quadrillion or something, like something crazy, something ridiculous. But Warren's been doing it. And if y'all haven't read the book Outliers, read the book Outliers. But he's been doing it so long. The chapter previously, it was talking about luck. A lot of things that happen to us as entrepreneurs are tied into luck. What are the chances? What did you do to meet me, who's going to build a platform and invite you on and you be my best friend?
I just showed up as me.
What are the chances? Yo, it's crazy. But I do believe the better you get and the longer you do the same thing, the luckier you get.
I agree. It's levels to this. You know, money doesn't solve all problems by far, but it definitely opens up a lot of doors.
It does.
It opens up a lot of doors. And it doesn't matter whether you're at that $30,000 level or that $100,000 level or that $1 million level. There are doors at every level to open. And I know that factually. When I was broke and had nothing, there were doors that needed to be opened at that time, right? The doors for me at that point were doors to like the temp agency to put me on that helped me start making some money because I had nothing. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, it was the door to my supervisor to get me up into management. And then you start making some money and now you're making $50,000. Well, at $50,000, I was probably the manager, you know, of a property management company or a property. And so now the people who are coming in to get their apartments, like they're respecting me at a higher level because she's the decision maker. She's the manager. So now I can go and pull that card and come out here and have different conversations with you and find out a little bit more about you. And you want to network with me because I'm the manager, right? And then you leverage that and now you're making 6 figures and the conversation changes even then. And then you hit 7 figures and everybody wants to talk to you.
For sure.
It's like the gate opener to everybody. But then you got, you know, the billionaire status and they, you know, 7 figures is a little measly chump change to them. But there are doors to be open because I believe so many people think, oh man, if I'm not doing this, then I'm just stuck. And that's not the truth. There are doors to be opened at every level. I literally climbed every step of that ladder. So I'm so relatable. Like I've been dead broke. I've been living in a house with no water, no lights, no heat, none of that. And I've also been able to get whatever I want, right? Essentially. So there's levels. There are doors to open at every level. You just have to see it for what it is at that time. It's still always about the who, not the how. Who at my level right now is in alignment with me and where I'm trying to go? Who's in alignment with me and where I'm trying to go? Because being broke doesn't mean that you're not worthy or you're not valuable. It just means that you haven't opened the right door yet.
Anyone read the book Outliers? Have you read the book Outliers? What did those kids do to be better than the other kids outside of their parents bearing them in this particular date? And you have to read the book to understand what I'm saying. But there are certain kids, if you are the youngest kid in let's say like the league is I don't know, 7 to 10. 7 to 10-year-olds play in one basketball league. If you were born on the first day of that starting date, meaning you're the youngest, you're the 7-year-old, a new 7-year-old playing with seasoned 10-year-olds. By the time that 7-year-old is 10, drastically better than other 10-year-olds that they grew up with. Now the 10-year-old is playing with 7-year-olds. By the time they get to a bigger league, they'll be worse because they're playing with less competition. But what did the kid do? Nothing. You were just born in this time. But I believe you have to, but it's not because you're born this time and you're this particular age, that doesn't mean you don't have to work hard. So I am in the belief that I'm going to work hard and I'm going to be prepared for all these opportunities. We could do it luck, we could do it with blessings. I have not forced God to give me anything. There's some things in my life I cannot explain that I don't deserve. Anybody else? Has something ever happened to you that you don't deserve? So, I mean, we can use it as luck, blessing, alignment, what have you. What I'm saying is some things are going to happen in your life that you are not in control of. But the only thing you can control is your ability to be prepared for it.
Yeah. And what's cool is, and here's the hack, in these doors, it's not only super successful people, it's just mostly super successful people. So if you're at a table if you're at a dinner, a high level dinner, right? Let's say everybody are 8 and 9 figure entrepreneurs that are at this table. It's not only the 8 and 9 figure entrepreneurs in the room. The 8 and 9 figure people are at the table, but there are other people in the room that are serving the food that add value to this particular table. They're in the room too, and they get to soak up some knowledge. But what's crazy is you still have to be able to operate at a high level, even if you don't qualify to be in a room. For instance, there's a high level of service. They're not about to go grab the server that works at Olive Garden to be the server at this 9-figure dinner. You still have, there are servers who make 6 figures in their job. They're super professional. Like those, when y'all go to them high level restaurants, those servers are on another level. So because I add value and I'm at the top of the chain in the value that I add, I can even get into this room and at least I'm serving the food. Yeah. But it's not even it's not necessarily just in terms of servanthood. It's more, I'm adding value to this room at the level that I add value.
Number one, we build community, right? But we're really in these streets. We're at events that we qualify to attend, like Black Equity Con. Hey. We invest in ourselves. So we invest in other communities like the morning meetup.
Hey.
We invest in ourselves. No, seriously, like we invest in masterminds where people that can increase our network are in, right? So Dave and I consistently look for like, yo, whose mastermind can we join like right now? And it doesn't matter what the investment is for 10,000, 50,000, whatever the number is. We are doing that as well. But also going into a room and figuring out how you stand out like when you understand how you stand out, how you're unique, you'll go into a room and you'll leverage that every single time. Like I know when I walk into a room, I bring a certain energy. I maximize that. I'm not going to go in the corner and sit down because my goal is to increase or add to my network and actually connect with people. So I think the biggest things that I've done is taking advantage of opportunities where there are a lot of people around, and leaning into my friends' network, like leveraging other people's networks for sure. We talked this morning about getting with a sideline partner and you guys going in and sharing your network amongst each other. Those are just some things that I've done.
100%. I would say one is get in a community and because every community is a group of people of common thoughts, beliefs, cultures, things of that nature. But if you get in a community where it's already understood that we're moving in the same direction, it's just easier to connect with people, just being active in a community. So you'll see a lot of people that's in the morning meetup that are just active in the community, and people say, yo, oh, Nella, I see you, oh, right? The second thing is build something. The best networking tool is something that you've built, a company, some sort of success. My goal wasn't let me build out my network. My goal was to let me sell as many t-shirts as possible. And people just started seeing the t-shirts around. Oh, I'm seeing your shirts everywhere. Who is this person who got these t-shirts? If you make enough noise, people will search for where this noise is coming from.
Don't miss that, y'all. David is saying become so good at what you're doing that you become magnetic, and people now want to add you to their network.
Oh, absolutely.
Become an authority in your space, and people then want to add you to their network. I think that's probably the strongest thing you can do. And then the second thing, just pay for it. Just pay. Like, forget all of the wheeling and dealing and trying to meet people in these free events that's free before 10, and just pay. Pay to be in certain rooms. If I didn't pay to be in certain rooms, I wouldn't have access to many of the people who are in my network today. And that's just the bottom line. There's nothing wrong with paying for it.
Yeah. I talked to this young lady. We was at the stairs, and it was like a group of us like trying to convince her to be in the morning meetup. And I asked her like, this kind of stuff happens all the time. But we was like, yo, how much did you pay for your ticket? She said like $500 some. I said, do you know how much the morning meetup paid? How much? $50. So I got a content creation course that people pay $1,000 for the content creation course. Do you know how much people in the morning meetup pay for the content creation course? Nothing. So I'll be trying to convince somebody to invest $79 or $33.99 a year. But like we do these events like this, maybe not this many people, but I'll just throw on events where we have more speakers, engagement. We call it a family reunion, and they don't gotta pay nothing for it. I spend tens of thousands of dollars to put it on. So the money that y'all put in, I'll put it right back. And she was like, oh my gosh, how do you get people to be like raving fans and raving about the morning meet? I add so much value, it's ridiculous. Big value. Thank you. So build something.